freemen on the land are members of a loose-knit group who claim that all statute law is contractual and that such law is applicable only if an individual consents to be governed by it. They believe that they can therefore declare themselves independent of government jurisdiction, holding that the only true law is common law, as they define it. The Freemen on the Land movement has its origins in various United States-based groups in the 1970s and 1980s, reaching the Republic of Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Canada soon after 2000. The Federal Bureau of Investigation considers sovereign citizen extremists to be part of a domestic terrorist movement.
I was born Sami Lapp in Finland, and my people never accepted governance, and we weren't given formal birth certificates or anything of that nature, which was the first part of your slavery. Here in North America and the rest of the world, very few people are given the option of not having a birth certificate, and that's where they started to enslave you. The all capital fiction, you've probably heard about these different things that they've done. It's all very true, and it all really does matter when it comes to the police asking you for identification and wanting to give you tickets and summons and arrest you and bring you to court and all the rest of the things. They need to have those charging instruments, otherwise they can't. It's very simple. They will tell you this. If you don't have a license, they will actually issue you a license to give you a summons or a fine, because they have to. They have no way to account, and that's all it is. It's all just accounting measures that they use. All these statutes and acts, all they are is an administrative process for accounting, basically. If they can't attach you to a number, they can't make an account. As a younger child, I never accepted the formal education. I never went to school. I got myself in a lot of trouble. Ended up in juvenile for about 3 years total, different places, group homes, that kind of thing. But when I was in there, I met a woman named Maureen, who's now gone. And she was the first one to give me books on statute and law and various other things that I was interested at the time. And I started to read contract law, and I started to understand the different control mechanisms that they use through their wording and through their little convenient sort of rules that they create to control you in different ways. And so then I started to think about who these people are and how can they do what they do. And I started to look into my health as well, things like fluoride toothpaste, for one. Since I was about 18 years old, I realized that they're literally poisoning us, and they tell you right on the tube. So one of the most important things I can tell anyone is to stop using fluoride. It's rat poison. It's destroying your brain. A lot of why they can do what they do is because they've done this to you, and now they use aspartame and all these other things. I come from a very sort of well-adjusted sort of family, I suppose, where they would be what you'd call sheeple, I guess, except for my mother, who was sort of not involved in too much of what society has to offer. It's about the best I can say. I'm definitely the black sheep of the family, and I find that there's a lot of people out here that are, and they're the same ones that I see on the road all the time. We're doing the same thing I'm doing. I've been meeting people all across the country now. The government says that the freeman societies are within the 30,000 range of people. It's well beyond that. And in the States, it's I can't even begin to speculate how many people now understand their sovereignty and understand that they've been duped. And that's basically what it is. The elites junkies, judges and cops, just trained monkeys. Teachers and preachers and doctors can only do as they're told. There's no one around in this liar's banquet who can't be bought and sold. Mr. Military Man, don't you know what you're killing for? The elites and power junkies, judges and cops, just trained monkeys. Leave through non-compliance. You got to be able to stand on your own and raise your fist in defiance. Let them cower at the gates of their ivory towers with their guns and their bombs. They can terrorize you with their lies if you come along. There is freedom, freedom, freedom. There's freedom. There's freedom, freedom if you want it. There was a ruling by a Judge Rook on Meads versus Meads a few years ago where they claim that freemen are a bunch of angry terrorists, kind of violent human beings that are out here doing all these things that the police are being told to be very careful when you're confronting a sovereign citizen or whatever. And it's like, no, we're not violent. We have no violence. I mean, yeah, sure, there may be a couple who pretend to be sovereign and they want to invoke violence just to justify the thinking that these the media and the judges and the police are being told that we're violent. We're not. We just want to be left alone. We just want to be able to live in peace, decide our own fate, be responsible for our own actions. And this is what, when you're not being governed by a bunch of people who break laws every day, I mean, this is what we want to do. We just want to be left alone. And if you can handle your life without welfare, without any sort of government assistance, no health care, if I get hurt, I go pay for it. If I need bones set, I go pay for it. If I need stitches, I'll do it myself or I'll go pay for it. You know, that kind of thing. And they say, well, what if you need medicine? Okay, first of all, I don't put chemicals in my body. I will not let a doctor give me any kind of drugs. I don't know if it's important or not, but I'm almost 50 years old. I don't know if I appear to be. I mean, if I want medicine, I go here. You see this behind me? I mean, that's nature, and that's what they don't want you to know, is everything that you need to live a happy, healthy, successful life is what you learn and what you know, and the things that they never tell you in school. And if they did, they'd be out of business. If the doctors could tell you to eat better, if the doctors could tell you what you can find out here just with eating dandelions or plantain or any of this other stuff that's out here, using the trees for medicine, using whatever you can find for medicine and knowing what those plants are. See, they don't teach nutrition. They teach chemical conditioning. How many people do you know who are on Prozac or some kind of Ritalin or some kind of other chemical drug? And believe me, these doctors know what they're doing to you. If little Johnny's in his classroom and he's a little fidgety, we might have to throw a couple of cc's of Ritalin in that kid or something every day just to make sure that he complies. But maybe he's just a little bored. Maybe he's not getting it. Maybe he knows that the whole thing is a lie and he doesn't want to deal with it. That was me. You know, they tried to tell me, well, he's got Asperger's, he's got this, he's got that. No, I'm just bored, man. I can hear you lying to me. So I'm not going to be here. I'm just going to go out in the street and enjoy my life and do what I have to do to survive, because I know that if I finally ever do graduate from this institution of higher indoctrination, then I'm going to become another one of those button-pushing morons that they can make a lot of money on taxes from. This is what I do. It's how I make a living. I obviously don't pay income tax to anything, because paying income taxes is funding a terrorist organization, basically. Every time you pay an income tax, you're paying for the bullets that are killing babies over in the Middle East. And I morally object to any government intervention in my life or in the lives of other people. I've been building for 30 years. I do all of it, plumbing, electrical, you name it. The government tells me all the time that you can't advertise electrical unless you have a license, or you can't do plumbing unless you have a license. And I don't have a license to drive. You know, and I go to work every day, and I'm more than happy to continue doing that because they pull me over and they know they can't do anything. You have to have a license to be charged. It's a charging instrument. But yeah, I go to work, I ply my trade, I make people happy, I build things. Nobody can tell me that I can't. Nobody can tell me that I owe them money, because I don't have a social insurance number, which is a social contract to enforce tax rules and tax laws. And that's what it is. If you don't have a social insurance number, they can't tell you that you owe taxes. If I couldn't build, I'd probably just teach law, or I'd probably just play my guitar on the street or in a bar someplace. You know, these are all the things I can do. You know, you got to find what it is that you're good at and enjoy doing, and just do it. And just leave the government completely out of your life. They have no right. They're just a bunch of soft-handed freaks that do nothing, sit around a boardroom and pat each other on the back for how obviously they've enslaved us. It's not important to have all of, like, people will say, okay, well, you learn the law, you studied all this stuff, but you don't have to learn all the 10 millions of different statutes that line the walls of these law offices. I mean, basically, as a sovereign, if you're free from the system and you don't have any of their contracts, you don't have the license, registration, insurance, all the rest of it, and you don't accept any more of their rules, the only rules that you're bound by are the common law, which is do no harm, cause no loss, and do not defraud your contracts. But what is important is that you know what they're bound by. They're bound by the Procedures Acts. They're bound by the code of ethics that they, in their little mafia government world, are bound by. Otherwise, they embarrass themselves. And if you can learn just those few things, the Court Administrations Acts, the Police Procedures Acts, the Provincial Court Acts, just the few of them. It's not going to take you more than a week to learn them, to understand them, and to know them. And that's all you need to know, is what they're bound by. And if you want to deal, and if you see them breaking these rules, you're going to have your case thrown out, because they cannot be embarrassed. They know this and they don't like it. It destroys the theater. It destroys the whole theater. And then they got to take off their costumes and gowns and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm just a man. I'm just a guy here pretending to be an authority figure. What we need to do is we need to somehow make these people more accountable. We need to start getting names and addresses, phone numbers of all of these police officers, all of these judges, so that they know that it's like if they come up and ask you for identification, they need to provide you with identification, so that if they do in fact assault you or arbitrarily steal from you or do anything, that we can go and as a collective go to their homes and tell them, no, you cannot do this. This is no longer acceptable. Okay, that might put me on some kind of a terrorist watch list or something, of course, but this is how it has to be. I mean, if we don't start proactively keeping these people accountable, then we're never going to have any kind of justice in this world. Like, until you do, until everyone just stands up like an adult and says, okay, we can no longer put up with this. Nothing will change. Power junkies, judges and cops, just trained monkeys to live through non-compliance. Got to be able to stand on your own, raise your fists in defiance. Let them cower at the gates of the ivory towers with their guns and their bombs. They can terrorize you with their lies if you follow along. But there is freedom, it's freedom, it's freedom, freedom. There is freedom, freedom if you want it. Them elites are power junkies, judges and cops, just trained monkeys. They watch everything that you do now, while they scurry around in the dark. They tell you it's for your own good now. Pretty soon you'll be wearing the mark. Let them cower at the gates of the ivory tower with their guns and their bombs. They can terrorize you with their lies if you follow along. But there is freedom, it's freedom, it's freedom, freedom. There is freedom, freedom if you want it. Them elites, power junkies, judges and cops are just really high-paid monkeys. Yeah, I don't do fear well.